Hello, everyone. Hi, good evening. Welcome. If you are just joining us, today we are doing a student takeover. I have some classmates here with me, Annabelle Rodriguez and Julia Morrison. My name is Marianne Ledesma. We are all current students here at APU. I'm a senior, as is Annabelle. Julia is a sophomore, and we are so excited to be with you all tonight, get to know you and answer some questions for you. Again, if you're just coming in, I want to say welcome, good evening, hello, greetings. We're so excited to have you tonight for our student takeover. We have a quick poll for you, just a little icebreaker. It is kind of a random one, but we look forward to your participation. So the question is, would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or fight 10 duck-sized horses? You might need a little bit of time to think about your answer to this one. I know that I definitely needed a moment. I actually paused for a good 10, 15 seconds speechless, considering my answer here. I'm seeing one vote right now for fighting 10 duck-sized horses, 2 votes. Wow, I am in the minority here so far. I personally would fight a horse-sized duck. I'm just thinking like 10 duck-sized horses, that's 40 hooves coming at you, you guys. That is a lot of hooves. So I would go for the horse-sized duck, and you just go for one of the wings and it's over for him. But definitely that's a massive duck. So thank you all for your participation in your poll. Hello, if you are just joining us, we are having a very controversial poll right now, asking if you would rather fight a horse-sized duck or fight 10 duck-sized horses. That is how we are opening up tonight's student takeover. After our poll, we are going to watch a fun little video. Just hearing from some student experiences, 2 videos actually, and then we'll get into some Q&A with all of you who are joining us here today. Then again, if you are just coming in, welcome, bienvenidos. Fill out our poll, and if you would like, you can type in your explanation for why you voted for your choice in the chat. When it comes time to do our Q&A portion tonight, you can ask your questions in the Q&A box. But for now, if you want to get in some lively virtual discussion, you are welcome to type in your reasoning for whether you would fight a horse-sized duck or 10 duck-sized horses in the chat. I'm not sure if you guys get live results on this poll. So far, 3 people have voted that they would fight a horse-sized duck. I would also join that camp. And then we've had 6 people vote that they would fight 10 duck-sized horses. So thank you all for your participation. We're super excited that you are engaging here. Someone has typed in the chat, 10 duck-sized horses are easier to kick. Yes, this is true. They are a more kickable size. This is a really violent intro to our student takeover. Okay, they're easier to kick. Again, my continual comeback is going to be, you have 40 hooves coming at you. And if they're wearing horseshoes, it is going to hurt. But yeah, they are more kickable. I'll give you that. I wish we had more context into this poll, such as, like, do we get a weapon, or is it just our fists here and our feet fighting these animals? Thankfully, these are just hypotheticals. Also, thankfully, we do not have horse-sized ducks on our campus, nor do we have duck-sized horses. So APU is a safe place. This is a purely hypothetical question. You will never be asked to fight animals in your time here. So thank you all for participating in this poll. That was really, really fun. And I'm excited to get to know you all with that funny question. Oh, final results are in. We have 4 votes for fighting a horse-sized duck and 7 votes for fighting 10 duck-sized horses. So I'm on the losing team here, but it was super fun to consider that question with you all. All right, so now we are going to get started. Again, if you've just joined us, we are doing our student takeover tonight. So I, Annave, and Julia here, I'm pointing to their positions on my Zoom screen. They're here with us. We are all current students and we will be answering your questions today. So when you have questions later, you can type them into the Q&A box here. But before we get started, we have a little icebreaker video for you to hear from one of our former students. So our support tech person is going to play these videos for us, and then we will get started with our Q&A portion of the evening. So you can take it away, support tech.
Hi, my name is Hannah, and I'm a sociology major, and I'm a senior. Initially, I actually came into APU with a different major, and I was really excited about that major, and I took a bunch of classes, and the people were amazing, and the professors were awesome, but when I started to get deeper and deeper into it, I decided that I wasn't super sure about it anymore, so then I actually applied to study abroad in South Africa and got accepted. Entering it, I wanted to be as open-minded as I could and understand that people are incredibly different and enter that with just grace and so much love. Sitting and listening to someone and learning their story and appreciating them is something that is so essential to just sharing the gospel and being a disciple of Jesus. I completely changed my mind and wanted to become part of the sociology major. Jesus was like, Hannah, you're gonna do this instead, and I want you to do this, and you're gonna thrive in this. And then I entered the major and met so passionate professors that just wanted to sit down and wanted you to excel and wanted you to succeed. And I felt like I was a team with them. We can just have so many different conversations where people can sit down with one another and be willing to listen and be willing to challenge one another and say, okay, tell me why you believe that, or tell me why you think this should change. Sociology majors are some of the most passionate people I've ever met, and I think that I'm really lucky and so honored to be a part of that.
Wonderful. So it was great to hear from one of our former students, Hannah, on her experience as a sociology major here at APU. So after having that introduction from one of our former students, I'm actually going to have all of us go around and do introductions. So I will go, and then Annave, and then Julia, you can finish us off. Would love to hear a little bit from you about name, you're in school, where you're from, and some things that you are involved in here at APU. So I'll start us off. As you can see on my little Zoom box, my name is Marion. I am a current senior here. I'm from Long Beach, California, so just about 40 minutes away from APU. APU is located in Azusa, California, just about 15 miles east of Pasadena. So we are in Los Angeles County. I'm a biblical studies minor and an English major. And some things I've been involved in my time here at APU. I ran cross country here for 2 years, and I am in my 4th year on the track team as well. And I've worked 3 jobs here. So I work as a tour guide and admissions intern here. I used to work in our writing center as a writing coach, which was a super fun job. And then I also worked as a barista at Hillside Grounds. Hillside Grounds is one of our campus coffee shops that serves smoothies, acai bowls, pastries, ice cream, and Starbucks beverages. So that was also a super fun job. Just a few of the hats that I got to wear here on campus. So if you have questions about student employment, athletics, tutoring services, I am here to answer those for you. So now I'll hand the mic over to Annave to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my name is Annave. I am a senior here at APU. I study communication management, and I absolutely love this major. Have fallen in love with it during my time here. Some things about me and things I've been a part of on campus. I was a chapel monitor here at APU. I currently work in our undergraduate admissions, giving tours of the campus. Additionally, I'm a commuter student this semester. However, I have lived in on-campus dorms as well as our apartments here. I've also have some experience with taking a semester off from APU to pursue a professional internship, which they were super supportive about and helped me along the way with that. So if you have any questions about any of those things, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
And hi, I'm Julia. I'm currently a sophomore in terms of year, but I will be graduating next spring, so a year early. Some of the, well, first of all, my major is I'm a design studies major, which is our like graphic design program here. I do have experience with changing my majors. It was very easy. I loved both, but I love this one more, just for me. Some of the things I've been involved in on campus was last semester, I worked at one of our restaurants on campus. That one's called Cougar's Den, that has like burgers, pasta, pizzas, all of those types of delicious foods. And then currently I'm working here for the admissions office. I'm one of the call interns, so I give phone calls and texts to people who are interested in APU. And I also work for the athletics department, doing various things like tickets for games or just helping make sure the athletes have all of their jerseys and everything washed. And then I also am doing an internship with the design department, helping out the Honors College to make their books for graduation. One other thing I did, this wasn't a job, was I was an alpha leader on campus, which every incoming freshman gets put in an alpha group where you kind of get to meet people. You have an upperclassman who kind of helps you learn, and it's just a great way to build community and make friends. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your introductions, ladies. As you can see, there are a lot of different departments represented from our campus here tonight. Also, for the record, APU is not a girls only school. We are a co-ed school. We just don't have any guys represented in our student panel tonight. So just wanted to put that out there. Thank you for your introduction. So I'm just going to give you guys a brief overview of our event, and then we'll watch one more student profile video. But this event tonight is going to be a Q&A session with you all. So if you look at your Zoom screens, you should have a Q&A box in the bottom. If you have any questions about student life, athletics, your major, etc., you are going to type them into our Q&A box. Use the Q&A feature, not the chat, and then we will go ahead and answer those questions for you during this event. We also have two admissions representatives with us today, Lauren and Autumn, and so they will also be available to answer questions. Anave, Julia, and I are all current students, so there are some things that we don't know, and so Lauren and Autumn are able to answer some of those for you. We'll answer as many of your questions as we can on screen verbally, but then we might also answer a few using the Q&A portion. So you might receive a typed response to your question. So get your questions in mind, and you're welcome to already start typing them into the Q&A box. We are going to watch one more student profile video, and then we'll get started with the Q&A portion of our evening.
Hi, my name is Kylan Brooks. I'm a junior here at Azusa Pacific, and I'm an entrepreneurship major. I was doing my accounting classes, and I was really just struggling the entire semester trying to get all the work done. And I was like, I really don't want to be an accountant, and it just like clicked for me. Right there, I was like, why don't you start your own business? My accounting professor was the one who encouraged me to pursue entrepreneurship. He actually told me a couple of his life experiences as an entrepreneur, and he kind of encouraged me more so to do it and told me the path I can take with it. I believe the leadership here from all the professors kind of guide the students to follow the correct path that they want to do and not something that someone else told them to do.
Wonderful, I was on mute. So that was another one of our quick student profile videos. Shout out to Kylan Brooks for his experience and for sharing that with us. So now we are going to get started with our Q&A portion of the evening. I already see two questions here. So thank you, Joseph, for being our first brave asker. Our first question here is, do you have SGA? The answer to that question is yes, we do. SGA, for those of you who don't know, stands for Student Government Association, and they serve as a liaison between our students and our faculty. So if our students have any concerns, any changes that they may want on campus, SGA is kind of our leadership team that takes those concerns and then raises it to our faculty, board of administrators, et cetera, to get those changes made on campus. So they are the best people to befriend here. If you want changes, they are the people for you. So thank you for asking that. Is the SGA speaker paid here? I believe SGA is also a paid campus job. So if you are on SGA, you will be paid as a student. Great question. What should I do to prepare for APU as an incoming freshman? That is a wonderful question. Anave, Julia, I'm gonna hand this one over to you.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually started with APU during the year of 2020 where I was online, but I still was able to do a lot of the things that I would recommend to anyone, which was since we started out remotely, I really wanted to make sure I could meet people before going to school. And at that point, we still didn't know if we were going to be in person or whatever. But I actually found it very helpful to go on Instagram, and I found a page that somebody made who was in my year, and it was called APU 2024. And we all just got to have them post a picture of us, a little short bio. And I got to know so many people just through that, to where on the first day of classes, I already knew people in my Zoom calls. And it really just had a huge weight lifted off my shoulders to feel like I know people, even though it was all distance learning, or even in the case of being in person, I just hadn't met them yet. So it was so nice. It really helped with that transition. I also feel like just trying to find ways to get involved when you get here. A lot of people tend to feel very kind of scared. It's very intimidating to move away from home, but I found it was so helpful to get involved with your alpha group, or even there's so many events on campus all the time, to just go to those. Even though it's putting yourself out there, it is so worth it to meet people and make connections, because it really makes it feel like home.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, Julia. Yeah, getting plugged in before you even start with that online community is so helpful. And then, like you said, getting involved while you're here is the best way to enjoy your college experience. College very much is what you make it. We give you so many opportunities to get involved and to make friends. And so it's just up to you to take hold of those opportunities and show up. So thank you so much, Julia. What a wonderful response. Another question we had here was about service. Is there a minimum number of service hours or Bible classes required for graduation? That looks like a two-part question. So I'm going to have Anave answer our section about service first, and then I can share a little bit about Bible classes afterward.
Yeah, of course. So we do have a minimum of service credit hours that you are asked to fulfill. It does change a little bit, kind of depending on what year you come in. But typically, if you're coming in as an undergraduate freshman, you'll be asked to fulfill 120 service credit hours during your 4 years here at APU. So I know that can seem like a big number, and I hope that doesn't scare anyone here. To kind of break that down a little further, that's around 15 hours a semester that you're spending giving time back. Here at APU, one of our cornerstones is service. And so we really love to implement local, global, and national opportunities for our students to give back. We have an amazing office on campus called the Center for Student Action. And over there, they're able to help connect students with different opportunities to fulfill those service credits. Additionally, sometimes they can be implemented into your courses here at APU. So for example, last semester, even though I am a communication management student, I took an intro to social work class as well as a ceramics class. And just within those, I earned 20 service credits just because when we did making ceramics with the local elementary school here in the area, for my social work class, we did a homeless outreach program. And so sometimes they're implemented into your courses, but also if you are maybe do service hours within your church that you're already in, you can also apply for those to be counted towards your service credit requirement.
Perfect. What a wonderful response. Thank you so much, Anave. So you have all of your options to get involved in service both locally and globally. I promised that I would talk a little bit about our Bible classes. We require all of our traditional undergraduate freshmen to take 18 units of biblical studies and theology coursework, which comes out to 6 classes over the course of 4 years. So if you transfer, it might be a few less of those courses, but if you come and attend for 4 years, it'll be 18 units, which is 6 courses. Your first 3 classes are going to be set by the university. Everyone takes these 3 classes. They are Christian Life, Faith, and Ministry, Exodus, Deuteronomy, and Luke, Acts. So those are 3, it's a ministry class and 2 Bible classes. Then you can take an upper division theology course, and then of your choosing. And then for your final 2 Bible classes, again, it's going to be 2 upper division Bible courses of your choosing. So that's a little bit about our Bible requirement. If you would like to get a minor in biblical studies, you only have to take 3 more upper division Bible classes. So I opted to do that. It is optional, but if you want to get a minor in Bible, it's a really manageable, doable thing. I personally chose to get that minor by taking biblical Hebrew courses. So I've wanted to learn Hebrew since I was about 6 years old. I got to fulfill that dream here at APU. So I took 4 biblical Hebrew courses, got to both fulfill my foreign language requirement, learn another language, and get a minor in biblical studies. So that was super rewarding, very, very fun. And now I know a little bit of Hebrew as well. We had a question earlier about someone moving from Colorado and what campus housing is like. So we have dorms for our freshman students, on-campus dorms. And then when you are a sophomore, junior, and senior, we have on-campus apartments for you. There's more than enough apartments to go around, so you don't have to be the first to apply for housing by any means. If you would like to live on campus, we have that available for you. And these are full apartments. So you're gonna have a kitchen with a stove and a microwave, like there's laundry for you, all of the things. So if you want to live on campus, we can make that happen for you. If you have like specifics about how to go and receive campus housing, our admissions counselors, representatives can message you in the chat. So you could just type in the chat and one of them will reply to you. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to look really quickly. Another one of our questions is, what is chapel at APU like? So we'll have Julia start, and then Anna-Vey can follow up on Julia's.
Yeah, so for sure. So chapel is so cool. We currently are offering we currently have, I believe it is 2 in person a week on Monday and Wednesday, and then another evening one called Kaleo. Kaleo is super cool. It's a lot more like student involvement, and it's outside on the grass. It's super awesome. And this week, actually, for Kaleo, they're actually having people get baptized after, which is so amazing. But so for the in-person chapels, it's really cool because you're able to be around with all of your friends, meet people there, and just worship together. We have a worship team that I'm not sure if it's too late to try out for that for next semester, but it is student-led. And so there's the worship team, and then we will have different speakers come in, and sometimes it's even fellow students who are up there speaking, which is really cool. And so now I'll turn it over to Anna-Vey.
Yeah, so you kind of already talked a little bit about one of my favorite chapels, which is Kaleo. I absolutely adore it. Just one of my favorite ones. So here at APU, again, we offer morning and night chapels here. So if you're more of an early bird, maybe our 10:30 to 11:20 Friday, Wednesday, and Monday morning chapels are more for you, but also some of those night chapels. So Kaleo is one. We have prayer chapel. We have liturgical chapel. What I really love about it is that it's a variety of different things. And so even though there is a chapel requirement here, I never felt pressure to go to chapel because it was such a fun experience, and I wasn't getting the same thing over and over. Some of the speakers that we bring in being our on-campus pastors, motivational speakers, sometimes it's an author. And then additionally too, we always have like a theme kind of for semester that we go with. Yeah, just it's really fun to also you never know if you're sitting by somebody who maybe isn't somebody of faith, and this is like them experience that. And so being able to just kind of have that walk of faith journey here at APU has been amazing. And at least for me personally, has been such a big development in, my faith journey.
Yeah, chapel is huge, really a great opportunity to grow in your faith, or if you're not a Christian, when you come here, to learn about the Christian walk. Thank you so much for your responses, ladies. So helpful. We have another question, and that is, what is the APU transfer community like? So none of us students here are APU transfer students, but I will say I have a lot of friends who are transfers. Because I'm an athlete on our track team, we get a lot of people who start attending APU midway through college. I'll share a few things. First of all, I'm not sure if we have a specific transfer community, but if you transfer to APU, I can assure you that the continuing students here, the returning students, are going to take you under our wing. We would love to welcome you and just embrace you as part of our group of friends, part of our community. So I wouldn't worry too much about, oh, I'm transferring, how am I going to make friends? The people here are just so friendly. Community is one of our 4 cornerstones. I would say it's actually harder to not make friends than it is to make friends here. So someone is going to, yeah, I see Julia nodding. Someone is going to take you under your wing. As an athlete, we've had plenty of people transfer onto our team, and I can say they definitely feel at home here and welcomed, and we are just so grateful that they've joined us. So really great question about our transfer community. Another thing I want to add is we have a program called our Alpha program. And so the way our Alpha program works is we have a returning sophomore, junior, or senior student, most typically a sophomore, but sometimes juniors and seniors, and they will take a group of, I would say, 7 to 12 incoming freshmen or transfer students under their wing. So if you are new to APU, which means all of our freshman students, or a transfer student, you will be placed in an Alpha group. The people in your Alpha group are going to be in your same major or a similar major as your Alpha leader. So I'll just use myself as an example. When I started at APU, I was a kinesiology major. So I had an Alpha leader named Ryan, who was also a kinesiology major. He was a sophomore. And then Ryan had 10 students who he kind of took in. And our Alpha program is a semester-long orientation for you. So it's not just your first weekend of school where your Alpha leader will tour you around campus and show you where your classes are so you don't get lost on the first day of class. Not just a one weekend thing, but rather an entire semester long. So your Alpha leader will host an event at least once a week for their Alpha group. And that's just a great opportunity for you to make friends with other people who are new to APU, as well as to make friends with your Alpha leader who really wants to get to know you. So Ryan, my Alpha leader, had us over at his apartment every Monday night to play board games. And it was super fun because while we were there, we would also talk about our major and what we were learning at that point. And a lot of us stayed friends with Ryan even after the end of that first semester. So it's a really great way to get plugged in and make friends during your first semester. Wonderful question. Annave, do you have something to add?
Yeah, just about transfers. Again, I don't know too much about transfer. However, we do have a lot of in-person and online transfer events that we put on as a university. And so we actually do have a few coming up. And so I'm actually going to send a link, if that's all right, in the chat to our to sign up for those transfer events.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for adding that, Annave. Now we have a question from Jessa, who said, what are the professors like at APU? So I'm going to turn it over to Julia to answer this one for us.
Yeah, so the professors are amazing. I have done a couple community college classes like throughout high school, and it was good. Like, you know your professor, but not really. It's just very large class sizes. Here we have very small class sizes. I believe the student faculty ratio is 17:1. So you really have an opportunity to have that one-on-one connection with your professor. Your professor knows your name. If you're missing, they might be like praying for you, like hoping that you're okay, like things like that. So my professors, a lot of them I've just built very great connections with. When I started out as a freshman, I also was a kinesiology major. That's the one that I transferred from. And even when I decided that it wasn't right for me and I wanted to transfer, my professors were so supportive. They were wishing me the best of luck, connecting me with other people that they know. They were so sweet. And then in my current major of design studies, you have a lot of the professors over and over again, and it is so nice to build those connections with them. I'm currently doing my internship with one of my professors, and you really just also get to have a great community and network and kind of be able to branch off because they know some people. Like my professor who I'm doing the internship right now, he used to be an Imagineer at Disney, so he has those connections and can reach out to people. And it's just, the professors are really awesome, and every professor I've had, I've made a connection with and love and know that they truly care about me, which is very different from other college like things that I've attended. So yeah.
Yeah, I thank you, Julia, for sharing. I'm also going to jump in and talk a little bit about the professors here because, as I mentioned earlier, I am a communication management student. As I said, I have fallen in love with this major. When I came in as a freshman, I didn't think I was going to be able to stick with it because, let me tell you, Anave was really shy as a freshman. However, my professors here really helped me kind of see like my value within this major and everything that I can do with it. So I have aspirations for working for the Walt Disney Company. And so one of my professors, actually, I applied for the Disney College program and I got in my sophomore year. And I had to make a really big decision of moving across the state to Florida. And so my professor here kind of sat me down and encouraged me to go. And then additionally, while I was over there doing the program, he emailed me and he said, "Hey, I'm in town. Just want to know if you wanted to grab a cup of coffee." And so I'm like, I just know that like I would not have like that experience at maybe a larger university. And so yeah, the professors here are just amazing, really taking time to build community with you. Being invited to Sunday dinner like at their house is also something that's super normal as well. So yeah.
Yes, Annabelle, I'm so glad that you shared about these personal experiences. I too have gone to coffee with professors, dinner at my favorite professor's house. Yeah, the great thing about that small student faculty ratio is that you're not just a faceless name whose papers these professors have to grade, but actually an individual who they care about as a human being. Yeah, I've had professors write my letters of recommendation to get me into grad school, and they just did such a wonderful job. So it's really great having these personal connections with your professors. Another question we got is, what is the nursing program like? So I am not a nursing major myself, but my older brother did come here to APU, and he graduated in 2020 from the nursing program. So he is currently an RN working as a travel nurse in pediatric oncology. And when he was in college, he already knew that he wanted to work in pediatric oncology. So he's actually living his dream right now. Our nursing program is ranked #1 in California and consistently ranks in the top 10 in the nation every year. So we have a really wonderful nursing program. We get you started on your clinicals really early, and you have tons of clinical rotations in a variety of hospitals in the Los Angeles area. So by the time you graduate, you have worked in all of the different fields of nursing. So you'll know exactly what kind of population you want to work with, age group wise, and what like area of nursing you want to be in. So my brother decided pediatric oncology. I know people who get really sold on labor and delivery or ICU, all of the things. So you're going to have all of the experience that you need here in our nursing program. It's really a strong program. A few other questions. Is there a support system if social or roommate problems arise? We have so many support systems in place here. Annabelle or Julia, would you like to step in on either of those? Otherwise, I'm happy to answer as well. All right, I'll answer in the meantime. Oh, Annabelle, go for it.
Sorry, maybe you can help me out. I'm forgetting the exact office name that we have, but we do have support programs here on campus for any roommate conflict that arises. So typically if something does, you're not alone in that. You can always, when you're here at APU and you're living in like the dorms or the apartments, you have a residential advisor who lives on like that floor with you or in your kind of sector of your apartments. And so any concerns you can bring to them. Additionally, if there is something that is bigger, we do have on campus like moderators who come and they're also part of those conversations.
I can kind of add to that. I have had a friend who their roommate, they just didn't really click. They both respected each other as people, but just living together, their ways of living weren't the best. Because typically when you do apply to live on campus, there's like a questionnaire where you can see stuff like, oh, are you an early morning person or a night person and things like that. So they really do try hard to get you with someone who kind of has the same type of lifestyle as you. But in this case where that did not necessarily match up because they did not match through the questionnaire, the RA I know did a very good job at they very easily were just able to move one of them to a different room because they happened to have another room in the hall. So it was very easy. It wasn't a big issue. It didn't cause a lot of attention to them. And then they were able to just academically succeed and get the right amount of sleep they needed and things like that. So, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, ladies, for your responses. I think also hearing about real life experience that actually happened is really helpful for our audience. So thank you so much, Julia. We were asked a question, does your university do any co-op programs with Disney? Anna Faye is the perfect person to answer this because she had that Disney gap semester. So Anna Faye, would you answer this one for us?
Yes, I absolutely adore answering questions about Disney. So we don't have any direct like co-op programs with Disney. However, like I mentioned, I did take a semester off to do the Disney College program. And so with that said, what was really amazing was that I was able to take that semester off. And so my account at APU was kind of just like put on hold. So I didn't have to go through the whole readmission process or anything like that. Additionally, I mentioned earlier, like my professors are all super supportive over that decision. And then yeah, I think as well, I came into APU as a freshman wanting to work for the Walt Disney Company, and I'm actually walking out now with a job offer from them. And so just the professional kind of opportunities that I learned within the company, and additionally kind of mingling it with everything that I've learned here, especially within the communication management program at APU.
I can somewhat add to that. I do know of quite a few people, since I'm in the design studies program, I'm in the College of the Arts, and I've heard of a lot of people who are doing internships at Disney because it is relatively close. It can be, if traffic's good, it can be as little as like a 25-minute drive. So a lot of people are doing that. I even just heard about another coworker of mine today who has an internship interview with Marvel. And so there's lots of things like that. And with so many professors here coming from Disney, they have a lot of connections, and you can have them as a letter of recommendation and things like that. With mine being an Imagineer, I have another professor who I talked to yesterday who's in the animation department and was a Disney animator. So there are just a lot of professors here who surprisingly have a lot of experience at Disney. So they definitely could help you get an internship there.
Yeah, I think I know of some music professors even who were like on Disney scores. The head of our animation department was, I think, directed Mulan or something crazy like that. The original animated Mulan. I think there might be a live action now. They are in our, yes, okay, confirmed. So head of our animation department literally directed Mulan, which is amazing. We have a question here that says, do you find the Azusa curriculum to be more difficult than community college? I've heard that professors might try and make you quit. I am going to dispel your second half of your question. Never in my experience as a student have I witnessed any professors trying to get students to quit. Our professors really want you to succeed. They really care about our students as individuals and as people. I can remember the hardest class that I took here as a student was general biology. I had a super hard time with it. It was it was an academically rigorous and challenging course. But in the midst of that, it was the first time that I learned how to study, and I had so much support from my professor. She met with me for office hours. If ever I missed class as an athlete, she like gave me her phone number so I could call her and ask her questions. But yeah, I was in office hours with her all the time. I had SI, which is supplemental instruction. So that's like a tutor who would literally just lead a Q&A related to class. So if we had any questions from class, we would meet with our SI tutor and she would answer questions for us and re-explain things. But I just had wonderful support from that professor, and that was the most challenging class I ever had. As far as comparison to community college, personally, I've only ever taken one class at community college. I'm currently taking American Sign Language at Citrus College. So we do share a block with a community college here in Azusa. I think that the classes are different or difficult for different reasons. So Citrus College, the course is challenging me because it's sign language and it trains you to think completely differently. It's just too different for me personally to compare to classes at APU, just because I'm an English major here. I've never taken sign language before, but I think if you are challenged in your classes here, which college is meant to challenge you at times, your professors are going to be there to support you and will do everything that they are able to help you succeed. And so there's going to be times you have to put in that work, but if you need support from your professor, whether that's meeting for office hours or asking for additional study resources, they tend to be really, really helpful about aiding you and supporting you in that. So really great question. Let me check the chat really briefly. Julia, would you also add on about community college courses? You mentioned you're graduating early. So if you have any more context from community college credits, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, I did take a few community college classes while I was in high school and even over the summer while I've been here at APU. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're harder. I would just say they tend to be more rigorous. It isn't because the actual like material is harder. It's just, I don't know. It's different because also for the community college classes that I've taken, I tend to do them over the summer where it's like much shorter time that you're doing them. So you just don't get as in depth. So it is really nice here because you have all that time to actually dive deep into the subject. You get to learn what you're here to learn. And also, I would say that community college classes are harder in the sense that you don't necessarily have someone that you can ask for help as easily. With the professors, like Marian said, I'm also currently taking biology, and it is a very just academically challenging class. But because it is so small here, I'm able to go up to my professor. I even talked to her today, right before I came onto the Zoom, about, just questions and stuff. And she took the time to sit there with me, even after class had ended, help me, walk me through things. And it really has made such a difference because while the actual material can be challenging, you have that support to help you get through it and help you actually conquer what you're here to learn.
So amazing. Thank you so much, Julia. What a wonderful response. Next up, we were asked, what is your favorite thing about APU? I'm gonna have Anna go first, and I would also love to hear from you, Julia, about your favorite thing at APU.
Yeah, so I kind of talked about one of them earlier, which was my relationships with my professors. But one that I really love and that may seem a little out of pocket is I love having an on-campus job here at APU. It's one of my favorite things. So like I mentioned earlier, I work in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions, giving campus tours to prospective students. And so I just really enjoy coming to work and being able to give those campus tours, but also just seeing like my friends in office. And so I've really gotten to know such a larger like part of the community here at APU, because I'm working along people who have different majors. So I get to learn more about the different like kind of colleges that we have here on campus. And yeah, I don't know. I think having an on-campus job can be a little bit like, oh, why is that your favorite part? But it's truly just like the joy of getting to come into work and see my friends and everything like that.
Yeah. And then for myself, I also really do love having an on-campus job. It is so nice not having to like commute to a job. I literally can walk across the street and I'm at work. And it's nice because even while you're working, like I said, I had previously worked at one of the restaurants on campus. And even though that can be kind of a like high stress environment because you're making food, you're having to go fast, you don't want people to wait. When your friends come in and are talking to you, it is so nice. And it doesn't make it feel like a normal restaurant stressful environment because it's people that you have in classes. Like nobody is going to be mean like might happen at a restaurant. They're all just there. Like they don't care if you take a little bit longer. They're so sweet. But I do have to say my favorite thing on campus is going to sporting events. I love going to all the different like basketball, soccer, all of them. I love them. We actually just had tailgate parties for our baseball and softball teams this past weekend. And we also on campus have this thing called the Zoo Crew. And because, you know, Azusa Zoo. And yes, see, Mary, they're doing the logo. That's what we do for the zoo. And that's like a student-led kind of group that just is there to hype you up for games. It is so fun. We have t-shirts. It is so much fun. I have a bunch of friends on the Zoo Crew. They even have this one thing called ZSPN, where they set up a table that looks like ESPN. They have a fake cardboard camera and they pretend to be interviewing players. It is absolutely hilarious. So I love going to those events with them.
So fun. I need to get myself to more sporting events. I'm on the track team here, so I'm at track meets all the time, but I need to go get myself to a baseball game or a softball game one of these days. Yeah, our Zoo Crew is so fun. We wear these matching black t-shirts that say welcome to the zoo on them, and it's just super fun to go and support. Thank you so much, Julia. We have two questions here. I'm going to merge them together. So the first question is there diversity at APU? And the second question is, does APU promote open-mindedness on campus? And if so, what are some examples you've seen of it? So one of my favorite things about APU is our diversity. So 66.5% of our undergrad students are ethnic minorities. And then a higher percentage of our student population are ethnic minorities in our graduate and professional programs. So I really value diversity here. Not only do we have ethnic diversity, but also denominational diversity within the church. And so within the church, or even people who are not Christians. So you do not have to be a Christian to attend APU. We do not make you sign a statement of faith when you come to school here. So everyone is welcome. And then within that, of the Christians who do attend APU, you don't have to belong to any specific denomination. So we have Catholics here and Baptists and Free Methodists and Wesleyans and Christian Reformed, like anything in between on that spectrum outside of what I listed. Just so many different Christian denominations are here. That has been very healing for me to see many people practicing their faith in many different ways and emphasizing different parts of the Christian walk, and for me to see that they were all valid practices of the faith. So that was really great. Another question that was part of the diversity question was, are there clubs on campus? Yes, so we have a lot of clubs here. We have ethnic organizations. And so those would include things like Pacific Islander Organization, or PIO for short, Black Student Association, Latin American Student Association, Kapamilya, which is our Filipino student organization, and so many more. I couldn't even list them all because I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but also because it would take a ton of time. So we have a lot of ethnic organizations that you can be a part of. We have plenty of other clubs as well. Free the Captives is like our anti-human trafficking club. We have BAHM, which is Brothers Against Harassment movement. So many different clubs. And if a club for something that you're interested in does not yet exist, you are so welcome to be a leader and create a club here. So really wonderful question. There's so many ways you can get plugged in. We have so many types of diversity here: ethnic diversity, denominational diversity, economic diversity as well. We want this to be an affordable and accessible Christian education. So we have people all over the financial spectrum who are attending APU here. And that's just like a really amazing thing too, where it's not just any one kind of person attending APU, but such a diversity of human beings gathered in one place seeking a Christian education. So what a wonderful question. Thank you so much. We have about 5 more minutes of our Q&A time. How quickly time goes when you are having fun. We are going to finish off with a question that all 3 of us will answer. So we'll start with Anave, and then we'll go to Julia, and then I'll answer last. The final question for you ladies is, what advice would you give to freshmen in general or to your freshman self? So we'll start with you, Anave. What advice would you give to freshmen in general or to your freshman self?
Yeah, I'm kind of going to do like a little wraparound of both. So the best advice that I can give to my incoming freshman students is really just to do good with your GPA in high school. Like not the sense of the like overwhelming pressure, but just that you are awarded for your GPA and your hard work in college. So it's all worth it in the end. And then additionally, if I were to give, I guess, myself advice, or even just you guys, dream big. And I know that's like a very Disney term of me to say, but honestly, like anything that you want to do to college, again, like college is a time for you to explore really different majors. And you don't have to like come into APU or really any university and be like, I want to do this. If you do, that's great. But just like know that you're able to dream big and look at different options and get to know different peoples and different communities. So yeah.
Yeah, so for myself, one thing I definitely would recommend is to just build those relationships with your professors. They are your biggest cheerleaders. They are going to be there to support you. So you really just want to have those relationships with them and know that you can go to them. But kind of piggybacking off what Anave said about just dreaming big and doing whatever you want, I would personally tell myself, don't be scared if your major is not a fit for you. When I started out as a kinesiology major, it was interesting, but I did not see myself doing it for the next 50 years, you know? And I was so stressed. I thought it was going to be so difficult to change my major. I thought it was going to set me back so much. It really wasn't. I had to fill out a form and just get that approved. And then like literally the next morning, I was as a design major. So simple. The professors made it so easy to transition in, and they really helped me to still be able to graduate on my timeline and not be pushed back that semester. So just to really know that you are free to change your major whenever you want and make it a fit for you. I had a friend of mine who went and was I believe, cinematics arts major for 3 years, and she loved that, but she realized she was more interested in design and doing like set design for that. So she wanted to have a design background. She was able to switch her major and is still graduating way earlier than if she were to start it over. She's doing, I think, in a total of 4.5 years. And that's with adding on another major, like at the very last minute. So it is possible. Don't be afraid. If you don't feel like it's fit, God will help you find a place that is the fit for you.
Wonderful. Oh, you two have such good responses. Change is okay. I went through 3 majors here, and I'm part-time in my final semester. So it's really easy to change majors. Julia, I was also going to answer to talk to your professors and really get to know them. I will actually extend that to community in general. get involved with your community at APU. For those of you who are still in high school, be involved in your community at high school. That involvement a lot of times is things you can put on your resume and on your application, and might even qualify you for scholarships when you come to college. But even outside of that, there's so much value in getting involved in your communities. So thank you so much, ladies, for your responses. I loved also being able to piggyback on that and say, be involved. When you come to APU, channel your inner extrovert, talk to people, get to know people. I met my best friend in line for dinner. So channel your inner extrovert. Don't be afraid to talk to people and initiate conversations. It can be so rewarding. We have some really helpful messages in the chat. I'm just going to refer to those really briefly. If you have any additional questions, you can email us at ugadmissions@apu.edu. That was sent at 6:50 p.m. in the chat. So you can copy that email address right now and paste it into your notes app or a Word document. And then also we do have in-person campus visits. So you can go to that link that Anna sent into the chat, apu.edu/experience-APU. And you can, I think Experience APU is our virtual tour. So if you want to go on a live self-guided tour, you can go into our virtual tour. But then also if you want to come on campus and meet a tour guide in person and walk through the campus, please come and visit. We can schedule a tour and we'd love to see you here. So thank you all, everyone, for joining us. It was such a pleasure hearing from you all and getting to answer all of your questions. Have a great night and a great rest of your week. Bye all.